The importance of co-parenting. Every child has the right to bond with the parents that gave them life. Children are happiest when they can freely communicate and enjoy the time, talents, and lessons that each parent brings to the relationship.
We make co-parenting difficult when we focus on differences rather than what is in the best interest of our children. Parents, your relationship with each other should never affect the relationship you have with your child. Celebrate your children together. They deserve your best. A message brought to you by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Sure to be sure of your benefits. Sickness and maternity, I'll tell you about the rest of it. Survivors grant your spouse and kids get the best of it. Let me mention pension when you're 62.
Hello radio listeners, and welcome to another edition of Social Security 5, your social security information program brought to you by the St. Christopher and Nevis Social Security Board. I am Dion Bassi, your presenter for this broadcast. And today we will be discussing a topic that is essential for all our pensioners, life certificates. What are they? Why do you need to submit them? And how can you make the process easier? Stick around because we've got all the answers coming up. Let's start with the basics. If you're a pensioner receiving benefits from Social Security, you're required by law to submit life certificates. This document confirms that you are alive and eligible to continue to receive your pension payments. Now, you might be wondering, why is this necessary? Well, the life certificate helps to prevent fraudulent claims and ensures that benefits are paid to the rightful individuals. It's a simple but crucial step in keeping our system fair and efficient. Submitting your life certificate is extremely important. Missing the deadline could mean an interruption in your benefits. And let's face it, no one wants that. For pensioners who reside on island, just one submission is required per year. These life certificates are mailed out annually. The completed forms are to be returned to the office following the guidelines provided. You may also visit the office for in-house assistance. For pensioners who reside overseas, the submission requirements are different. Overseas pensioners are required to submit 2 notarized life certificates at 6 months intervals. To make the process easier, we have created a submission table with your birth month, first submission and second submission periods. We will share these details here as well as on our website and social media platforms. The 2025 life certificate submission are as follows. If your birth month is January, your first submission will be January and your second submission will be July. If your birth month is February, your first submission will be February and your second submission will be August. If your birth month is March, your first submission will be March and your second submission will be September. If your birth month is April, your first submission will be April and your second submission will be October. If your birth month is May, then your first submission is May and your second submission will be November. If your birth month is June, your first submission will be June and your second submission will be December. If your birth month is July, then your first submission will be July and your second submission will be January. If your birth month is August, your first submission will be August and your second submission will be February. If your birth month is September, your first submission will be September and your second submission will be March. If your birth month is October, then your first submission will be October and your second submission will be April. If your birth month is November, your first submission will be November and your second submission will be May. If your birth month is December, your first submission will be December and your second submission will be June. Once your life certificates have been completed and notarized, they may be sent via email to customer service at socialsecurity.kn. We are all about making things easier for you. So there you have it. Everything you need to know about life certificates and their submission. Remember, this simple step ensures that you continue receiving your well-deserved and their submission process. Please feel free to contact us at 465-2535 or 469-5245. That's all the time we have for this edition of Social Security 5. Until we come your way again, this is Beyond Basso reminding you that we keep looking up to
Be
your
sure to be sure of your benefits. Sickness and maternity, I'll tell you about the rest of it. Survivors grant your spouse and kids get the best of it. Let me mention pension when you're 62. When you're done work hard and retire, this is what to do. Listen this.
Unlock the secrets to a healthier you. Join Dr. Natalie Osborne every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on WINN FM 98.9 for Weekly Dose. During this 30-minute health discussion, we aim to educate and empower our listeners on the prevention of diseases, early diagnosis, and timely intervention. Don't miss out on this informative health talk where we teach you to live your best life. Weekly Dose, Tuesdays on WINN FM 98.9.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINN Media 98.9.
And good morning, and welcome to today's edition of Island Tea. It is the 17th of March. Oh boy, the month is fleeting. Of March 2025. Good morning to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Good morning to the regional and international diaspora. For all of you tuning in, whether it be by radio, for those of you who can catch us. We are also being televised on TVC, Channel 40. We are also on Facebook and YouTube. So good morning and welcome in. Now, last week, Thursday, it slipped me to mention that it was International Kidney Day. I forgot to mention that, and our kidneys are important to our health. I saw that the Kidney Association on Nevis, they continue to advocate for kidney wellness, and they continue to educate as well. And it says the Nevis Renal Society intensifies awareness campaign on World Kidney Day. And this year's theme is Are Your Kidneys Okay? Detect early, protect kidney health. And it says the article, actually, it's on winfm.com. It was written by Yulana Weeks. I'm mixing up the writers. And it said in Nevis, the Renal Society continues to lead the charge in raising awareness about kidney care and health. The executive members took to the War Memorial Square in Charlestown for an informative awareness session, encouraging passerbyers to love their kidneys by managing their diets, drinking adequate water, engaging in regular health checks, exercising, and other things. Pamphlets were disseminated, and the general public had an opportunity to engage in dialogue with the Renal Society representatives. I was even shocked to find out that some of the hemodialysis patients from Nevis, several of whom are under the age of 50. I'm going to say that again. Several of them are under the age of 50. So you don't have to be a certain age to have kidney disease. They traverse the seas multiple times weekly to access treatment at the nephrology unit at the Jane France General Hospital. Senator Nisbet issued a message of hope to them and their loved ones, pledging the continued support of the Nevis Renal Society and the Ministry of Health. She also said to those living with kidney disease and their families, know that you're not alone. The Ministry of Health, alongside the Nevis Renal Society, remains steadfast in our commitment to improve access to treatment, dialysis services, and support systems that enhance your quality of life. She said she went on to say, we will continue to collaborate with local and regional partners to strengthen our healthcare infrastructure and ensure that kidney care remains a priority. And we know that we have some NCDs that also contribute to kidney failures, namely high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart failure. and obesity. So let us manage our weight. We know we have weekly dose every Tuesday, and the doctor always talks about eating a proper diet and managing our weight. Let's manage those items that I mentioned once again: high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. Let's try our best to manage them and to take care of our kidneys. We only have two, and we have to ensure that they last as long as we have life on earth. So let's be kind to our bodies and herself. Quinn, good morning. What's on your mind this morning?
Good morning. Nothing much.
Had a good weekend?
Yes. What was a relief to me was the Prime Minister's response in relation to the Cuba.
I just pulled that up literally.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
I better late than never, let's say. And it was good. It was diplomatic. I like the part where he said we are friends of everyone and enemies to no one.
Yep.
Yeah, quite diplomatic.
And the fact that he mentioned that he too was educated in Cuba, and many of our regional counterparts were educated in Cuba as well. So I like that part. He didn't shy away from the fact of knowing that. And funny enough, right? He was educated in Cuba, and he went to the U.S. to specialize. So you see, it can happen.
Yes.
I do not get the fuss.
I think that is why he sort of goes down the middle, because he benefited from both of them. So yeah.
And that's why I'm saying he was waiting for putting together a calculated response.
Well, like I said, better late than never.
Yeah.
I think it should have been done before, but I'm not going to knock him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Fair enough. And also, I don't know if you saw a list that started making its rounds on Friday.
I heard about a list.
Red, yellow, and orange. Yeah. You saw it though?
No, I heard, but you know about me and phones and
boy. And technology. We really got to pull you into that.
And the funny thing is, I'm into technology because I'm an engineer, but when it comes to phones, no
vibes.
No.
Okay.
I'm not. You cannot pick up a phone and call me when you feel like and get me. It's not going to happen.
You busy on the farm?
Well, the farm, but it's just
not your thing.
Yeah, my children, especially my oldest son. My oldest son, he lectured me a number of times about it, but it's just me.
It really is. It really is. It says the government of St. Kitts and Nevis addresses alleged leaked U.S. travel restriction draft list, confirms no formal communication received. That's what I was wondering. And I'm sure, right? For most persons that saw that list, no one can tell me they just saw that list and just bypassed it. I'm sure every single one of us, including myself, sat there, speculated, tried to figure out what the 4 Caribbean countries have in common. Listen, I did a whole analysis of things. And I'm sure it was the same thing for most of us in St. Kitts and Nevis, because we're thinking, what's going to happen? Why are we on this list? Once I saw the list and I only saw it was 4 Caribbean countries, I said, okay, it has nothing to do with the Cuban medical team.
Yeah.
This is something else, because St. Vincent wasn't on there, Barbados wasn't on there, Trinidad and Tobago wasn't on there. I said this has nothing to do with Cuba. This has to be something else. So I know everybody speculated, but
so what? Give me a better heads up as to what is the list really about.
Okay, it has visa restrictions, right?
Yeah.
So we are in the category that says we have 60 days to basically have dialogue or smooth out whatever hiccups the U.S. might seem
to have.
That are seeing that we are having in terms of our passports and whatever.
Oh, okay.
And sort that out. So we have us, St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda, and Dominica. Yeah, we have 60 days to sort it out. Then you have some countries that can, as they said, having a U.S. visa doesn't mean that although they gave you one, it doesn't guarantee that when you try to enter, they're going to let you in. So let me see if I can pull
That might be along the veins of our citizen by investment, but I'm not sure. You know, if it's
Because when
if
I
it's
looked,
not,
remember Ralph doesn't have that. St. Vincent doesn't have that,
Yeah.
and the opposition is promising folks that because they know the type of money they can make from it.
Yeah.
But Mr. Gonzalez didn't buy into the citizen by investment, and I don't think Barbados has that either. So I crossed that out immediately. So let me tell you what the list is. So there's the red, and this is all travel ban. So don't come.
yeah,
So that includes Afghanistan, Bhutan, Cuba, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Venezuela, Yemen. Then there's the orange, and visa sharply restricted. So Belarus, Eritrea, Haiti, Laos, Myanmar, Pakistan, Russia, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, and Turkmenistan. I said sharply restricted. What's the difference with sharply restricted? So like only
That's what
one
I'm-
out of 10 maybe might get.
that's what I'm wondering. you
And
know.
then yellow, which we're on, the category we're in, it says 60 days to address concerns. So
So that would mean they have already said what the concerns are.
and that's the thing, because I have to read the article to show that
I would
I
assu-
sent
if
another
you're
article.
if,
Dominica said they don't know anything about that.
if you're going to give me 60 days to reply to something, it must be something that you sent to me that I am enlightened
Yeah,
about.
but it seems like nobody got what was sent, or because apparently from other stories that I got, it's like it's a leaked list.
Document,
A
okay.
leaked document. Yeah. So I don't know if it was ready for a proposal or who's trying to scare us
And then
in these parts.
and then there's the other aspect is it a legitimate thing? Isn't it? It could be because people get on the internet and put all
all
kind
sorts of
so-
things. And as I
because
said,
it doesn't make any sense that you say 60 days to apply to something and I haven't gotten it as yet. It doesn't make any sense. So
Exactly.
let's assume by logic that is a bogus thing until we hear otherwise.
yeah, because on the yellow list, which we are on, it has Angola, Antigua and Barbuda, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cambodia, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Chad, Republic of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Dominica, Equatorial Guinea, Gambia, Liberia, Malawi, Mali, Mauritania, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, Sao Tome and Principe, Vanuatu, and Zimbabwe. And to coincide with that, it says, and this article too can be found on winfm.com. Government of St. Kitts and Nevis alleged leaked U.S. travel restriction draft list confirms no formal communication received. You see that?
Yeah, so
No, none was received. So it says the government of St. Kitts and Nevis acknowledges the publication of a New York Times article referencing the Federation in an allegedly leaked draft list of recommendations detailing 3 tiers of countries whose citizens may face visa restrictions on entering the United States. In response to the article, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and its embassy in Washington, D.C. have engaged with U.S. officials. Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, confirmed that no formal or informal communication has been received from the U.S.
okay, so that means there is some validity to it then, because our Prime Minister responded.
Well, I guess he responded to find out because they
okay.
didn't get a formal response. So what is this? If you didn't send me something, then
Yeah.
how would I know what is it you require from me? Especially with the fact that it says 60 days. That's
Yeah.
2 months. Who is, and let's say the severity of whatever. How can you deal with that in 2 months if it requires more time?
Look, with the Trump administration, expect anything.
Oh boy.
I think they're putting priorities in misplaced positions. You know, I think some of the things they're going at are rather petty and are not really relevant to the advancement of the American economy, but they must know what they're doing.
Yeah, it makes, because even the fact with the tariffs, you see now
We
he's
have a
talking about.
caller.
Okay. Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Good morning to everybody.
Hey, good
Greetings
morning.
once more in Jesus' name.
Yes, good day.
Greetings. Now, first of all, it seems as though that travelers thing probably might have been something that was made up by the New York Times. It seems so because I understand also that they're saying, the prime ministers are saying that there is anything even on the White House official site.
Yeah.
They said they ain't even see anything there. But secondly, Quint,
Yeah.
I would just like to make a correction on something that I said to you the last time I spoke to you.
Yeah.
Okay? It's saying that I was wrong 100%. But the matter is this. Remember I told you that the Cuban doctors, they were working for $10 a month. Okay?
Yeah.
Remember I told you that. Now, from my research that I've done since, the Cuban government has upped the payment of their doctors.
Yeah.
So it ain't that anymore. They have upped it. And I would just like to read a paragraph concerning this issue. The cardiologist, and we're talking about the cardiologist,
Yeah.
the cardiologist Lopez, who works at Havana Calixto Gracia Hospital, saw his salary more than doubled from 6,500 to 17,000 Cuban pesos with a bonus, meaning he now earns $141 per month, according to the official rate, but only $56 at the street rates, which tend to govern prices. So, yes, so we have here, and we're talking about the top tier doctors, at least earning $141 US per month in Cuba. But according to the street rates, it's $56 per month. And that in the street rates, according to the article, is what governs prices. The article is titled, Cuba Boosts Doctors' Wages in a Bid to Halt Mass Exodus. That's the name of the article. So that is the latest that I have, that I came across, that talk about the wages of Cubans, the wage price back in Cuba. I understand as well from other articles that when they go overseas, they work for somewhat more than what they get when they are home. And they keep a certain percentage, I think something like 20% or something like that, that they keep in the foreign earnings, but they only get it back when they go back to Cuba. They only get it that the Cuban government has been holding for them. Which, of course, I have a lot of problem with that issue because that is way too low. That is way too low, very low. Also, concerning the PM speech that he gave concerning the Cuban situation, while I find that he said things that are commendable concerning the issue itself as to his decision as to whether he is going to continue the contracting with the Cuban government to get the doctors, where he would continue to pay them to continue to get the doctors, or whether he's going to cancel it. He did not address that issue. You know. Yes, he said he trained in both Cuba and America, but is he going to go along with the American decision? Or is he going to reject the American decision? He did not say anything concerning that. All he says is that he would continue to engage both Cuba and America. That's the most he said. But what does that mean? To what degree he's going to engage Cuba? To what degree he's going to engage America? Nobody knows. He was very vague on that. And so, to me, this speech that did not contain what people really wanted to hear. It did not contain that. And so it fell short of that.
For me, I think I gathered, I could be wrong, I think I gathered that he's saying we're going to continue along the vein that we have with Cuba, because he talked about the pay and that they get the pay that is equal to what the locals get and so on and so forth. So I think if I read his statement properly, I think he's saying, look, we're going to continue with Cuba, but we're also going to continue our relationship with the U.S. We are not enemies of anyone, and we don't feel that we should pick this side against that side and so on and so forth. Like I said, I could be wrong, but that's the way I read it.
Well, obviously, when he said he's going to continue to engage both, it's the same thing as saying he's going to continue to, what the word you use, how you said it again? He's going to continue to get along, that's what you said?
Well, you could say continue to associate with Cuba in the same vein.
Right. But the question is, what does he mean by that? Because I could continue to associate with you. That doesn't mean I have to continue to make contracts with you or something that I've been making with you in the past.
Greg, you're aware of that word diplomacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Diplomacy means what?
Well, diplomacy is supposed to mean...
being tactful and,
it also mean... it could also mean being deceitful, too.
Well, if you want to put it that if you want to put it that way, but if me and you have a bit of a problem, and I can be tactful in
how is diplomacy deceitful though? Because we know the art of diplomacy is dealing with people in a sensitive and effective way.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just how our prime minister is going to deal with it. That's why I was saying maybe he is preparing, and now I have my words together, a calculated response before he comes and speak to the people.
Yeah, but but also diplomacy. I could use words that make you think that I'm saying, because that is what you want me to hear. But really and truly, when you dig deep in those words, I ain't said what you think I said.
That could be so.
Because the words that I use might be very... When you dig deep, you might realize there's a note of ambiguity to them.
Look, I have always said that the Caribbean needs to be as diplomatic as the developed world, because what you just said is true. The developed world, when they deal with us, they're very, very tactful. They will say something and it has, a lot of different meanings. We have to be the same. What you give to me, I will give to you. Okay? If you're tactful in your dealings with me, I'm going to be tactful with you. And then what are you going to complain? Well, I'm using the same yardstick as you. I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, for example, if you compare the speech of the Prime Minister to the speech of Ralph Gonzalez and the Rowley of Trinidad, Rowley and Gonzalez, their speech ain't leave it to guess where they stand.
Yeah, but Rowley is Rowley, Gonzalez is Gonzalez.
And plus Rowley is leaving.
And Jew is Jew. So there are three different individuals who have three different ways of dealing with things.
Because even the Prime Minister for Grenada, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, he was clear too. Because I find he's the first one that I heard anything from.
Yeah.
Then I heard from Ralph, then I heard from Mia, and now I'm hearing from our Prime Minister. I didn't hear anything else from anyone else.
I do not remember too clearly Mitchell's speech. I do not remember it too clearly, but I know Ralph and the one from Trinidad, Rowley. I know whether he leaving soon, yes or not. I know the speech left you not guessing as to where they stand, that they will continue to contract the Cuban government for the doctors and that sort of stuff.
Well, don't you... I
can't say that for the...
I read the article, and it seems like that's what our Prime Minister is saying too. But he didn't have to shout it to the mountaintops. He said it in clear words.
That is it. That is what I got from his statement.
but when you dig deep, like I said,
Greg,
deeper,
Greg,
he said he
Greg.
will continue to engage.
Greg, sometimes I believe you dig a little too deep in every aspect. Sometimes, my opinion, I feel that you're looking for an issue and you will find it.
No, but like I said, I ain't see that note of ambiguity in Rowley and Gonzalez's speech. The speech are clear.
Yeah.
I ain't see that clearness in the Prime Minister said he engaged, but engaged could mean 100 million things.
It could mean just what we take it as.
It could mean that.
Yeah.
It could mean that, as well as it could mean other things.
Okay, if he had said we will not engage, you understand what that is saying? But he said we will engage. We will continue to engage. I don't think you can get more diplomatic than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say. It is diplomatic with ambiguity. It is diplomatic with ambiguity. Trinidad guy and
anyway, Greg, we have another caller.
They were more. They were clearer.
Greg, we have another caller.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay.
You're welcome. Caller, good morning. You're live in ILNT.
Okay, we lost that caller. Callers, sometimes you need to have a little bit more patience. Hello? Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, man. How you guys? Yeah, good morning. How you guys doing?
Cool.
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, the other guy, yeah, pretty good. How you doing, Cotton, sir?
Good, thanks.
Greg is still in the other line?
No.
Yeah, when you need to stop me, let me know. Yeah, this discussion continues. And, I want to support the guy, Greg, with some of his points there. Yeah, the Prime Minister's speech was middle of the road. We heard what he said. We cannot hear what somebody said and then try to spin it. He is not definitive like some of the other leaders. You know, he is middle of the road. He's playing both sides, and he's erring under caution and implying that they're going to maybe continue with diplomacy.
So caller. So what do I agree? But what do you find wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, but the people who you're representing is calling out for our leaders to stand up. And we're looking for our Prime Minister. We're looking for strength in our Prime Minister and in our leaders in the Caribbean. This issue is not going to go away, whether we think that it's a real issue or not. America is coming after the Caribbean. They're coming after us. And you know what they're coming after. They're coming after our CBI program. That's the big goal that they're after. They do not like that we are generating this money through that fund. And also, they are cautious with their national security. Remember, America has their national security to protect as well. And they are cautious with that because when we look at the fact that when the Russia invaded Ukraine, America put out a communique for us to stop doing business with Russians, Belarusians, Iranians, and whoever else. And they are still on that wavelength. They're not going to come off of it. You see how the new president, is talking about the Panama Canal. There is some some rumors coming out that he is drafting a military action to try to seize that control of that Panama Canal. And the president, he is not joking. Everything that this man said he's going to do, he is on that path to doing it. Locally here in the United States over the weekend, the shutdown, the spending bill was voted on. Democrats voted for it. And it's passed, went through the House. Me personally, the Democrats then should have stand up and don't sign for that. Let we have chaos everywhere. Because we already have chaos. The new president is already creating chaos.
Caller. That word chaos, we have to be very careful how we speak, because when you are a leader, you have to be very careful how you deal with things and the repercussions, not only for you, but for your electorate, So for you to say, well, you can let us just have chaos, how do we know how far this chaos, how deep it will go? I always maintain
Yeah, well,
that when you're a leader, you try to get what you want, but you use diplomacy. You're as tactful as you can be.
yes, and I agree with you. Don't just take everything that I say on face value.
Yeah.
Yeah. We gonna exhaust an effective, efficient leader will exhaust as much diplomacy as possible. Yes, I would agree with you on that, and that's what I would do if I was a leader.
Yeah.
And but as we're watching this stuff unfold, we know, like I said, they're coming after the CBI, and you see they have a report from St. Vincent Times
Yeah.
listing St. Kitts Nevis,
Yeah.
Antigua, Barbuda, St. Lucia, and Dominica, 4 top countries in the Caribbean that have the CBI program.
Anyway, caller,
draft.
caller. Sorry, don't want to really cut you, but we have another program. The guests are already here. Perhaps you can call back in later and continue that bit of a discussion. It's quite intriguing, but I will have to be taking a bit of a commercial break right about now. Okay?
Okay, no problem. Thanks, man.
Okay,
thank you.
You're welcome.
We're different. We're 98.9 WINN FM.
Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Let's stop child sexual abuse. The age of consent is 16, yet our 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10-year-olds are becoming victims of sexual abuse and exploitation, which is being forced into sexual activity before they are old enough to decide. This causes mental, emotional, and physical harm to our children. Parents, it is your responsibility to protect and to educate your children. Develop a relationship of trust with your child. If they trust you, they will tell you. Child sexual abuse cannot be our norm. We must work together to correct this. Help us prevent, help us protect, help us prosecute. A message by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Babe, we can get up to 100% financing on a land loan with CIBC Caribbean.
Really? No down payment?
With 15 years to repay, it's so affordable.
Now we can finally move forward with the land we love.
Get up to 100% financing, half off the loan application fee, and up to 15 years to repay a land loan. Plus, CIBC Caribbean will give you $675 towards your valuation fees. Promotion ends March 31, 2025. Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information.
Voices has a new time. Starting Friday, January 24, tune in from 10 to 12 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for Voices right after Island Tea on WINN FM. Money Matters with Dr. Terrence Martin moves to Monday afternoons from 1 to 2 p.m. Inside the News on Saturday mornings, now 10 to 12 noon. Tune in to WINN FM 98.9. Log on to winmediaskn.com and our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch pages. And let's go. Keep up with the news on our website and by following our WINN Media SKN channel on WhatsApp. Message your comments or call WINN FM at 466-0989, 662-0989, or call our U.S. numbers from anywhere, 718-285-6984, 305-921-4619, and call our sales office at 466-9586. Voices, now 10 to 12 a.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Money Matters, 1 to 2 p.m. Monday afternoon. And Inside the News, Saturdays, 10 to 12 noon on WINN FM 98.9.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
Good morning and welcome back to Island Tea. And as usual, we have a lovely officer here. That's Sergeant Henry for Traffic Talk. You know, our Traffic Talk begins at 8:30. You know, we had a little spillover from the caller, but, you know, every information or every discussion that we can have is important to us here at Island Tea. So good morning, Saj, and welcome to Island Tea this morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm trying my best to be my best as usual.
And I hope everyone listening had a pleasant weekend.
Yeah.
This morning I want to talk about roadside work zone. And once they have a roadside work zone, it must have traffic control. And traffic control refers to the use of temporary traffic control devices to protect workers and to move road users safely through a work zone. A roadside work zone is any area next to a road where a worker may be exposed to hazard of moving vehicles. It can be fixed in one place, such as a construction site or an area around a tow truck picking up a stranded vehicle, or it can be mobile work such as mowing, line painting, or garbage and recycling collection. And when I said garbage, persons are disrespecting the garbage collectors. Because when they're out there collecting the garbage, they're going to put a cone or something to slow down the vehicle or the vehicles. And instead, persons adhere to this. They are driving through and putting the garbage collectors at risk. Sometimes they have to get out of the way, and sometimes they have to abort the operation. So once you see someone is doing work and there's a cone, not everyone who put down cones, because persons not just supposed to go and put down cone, but for persons who are doing garbage collecting, persons who cutting the road, the side of the road, or even those utility persons. Once you see this thing, just adhere to them. Yesterday, Skellick was there doing some changing out of wires, and it's been going on for several Sundays. We put down the signs, no entry. Mm-hmm. They're out there directing the traffic, and persons are disrespecting them. Yes, they are flagging them down because they had persons there flagging down, to let them know to drive slow. Because you can see, because from a mile away or some feet away, they had cones saying caution.
Yeah.
And persons are still coming through with speed.
We're not adhering, and we're not learning. Even this morning to coming to work, and I know the street that's between Convent there that goes up, you're only supposed to turn left, right?
Convent, you mean just out here Stanford Street?
I'm not sure what just you can come straight down to get into the Sands complex. But we can't turn to come this way because the Convent is having school. We go that way. It's right. You know where the daycare is? The government daycare?
Yes.
You know where Miss Graybrook's office is?
Yes.
The turn down.
Okay, Stanford
Once you're
Street,
coming
yes.
up that street, you're only supposed to go left, right? Can you turn across traffic to go right?
I know when you're coming from on the main road, you should not turn right to come down.
Yeah.
You only can come from the fire station and turn down.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, so you are allowed to turn across traffic?
I'll have to check. I'm not sure.
Because I was wondering, because people behind you, they don't. If you stop, it's obvious that something's happening. Wait a little. Yes. Everybody just want to go. I know it's Monday morning. You're trying to get to work, but... Okay. Caller, good morning. You're live on Traffic Talk.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're on Traffic Talk already?
Yes, we're on Traffic Talk. So any other
I'm
topics
sorry,
will have to be after Traffic Talk.
I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. No problem. Thank you for your understanding. All right.
Persons do not like to wait because they don't know what is happening ahead. You cannot see ahead of you, so I don't see why you want to overtake.
My sentiments.
Even Friday, I was going down to Sandy Point, and the same area where we had our first fatal, in that same area, there was a coaster bus in front of me. I was behind the coaster bus, and you have a pickup behind me. And that driver going to overtake in that same area, and something is coming from the opposite direction. I had to blow my horn. Because something is coming and you overtake it. You can't see around a corner, so why overtake?
The nonsense. And then just to think they're overtaking you already, a normal vehicle, then the coaster has linked. How can you anticipate what's going to happen? And then if they want to save themselves, they're going to pull across in front of the coaster. That's a whole accident right there.
Persons just don't care.
So, officer, let me ask you a question. When you saw that and you blew your horn, wasn't there anything else you could have done?
No, I dropped back.
No, I mean, if you weren't there as a police officer and the person tried to take over and got into an accident, we know how deplorable that could be. What I'm suggesting is sometimes when you're police officers and you see these kind of crazy things
you take
happening,
numbers. I usually take the person's number and call them.
And have a follow-up. Yeah,
Yes.
that is what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it just go like that and they feel like it's gone.
No. Up to last week when I left the station, I drove up George Street, across Sandon Road, onto the Bay Road. I'm going down. There is a GT bus again, coming from the opposite direction by the post office and make a right turn into Sands Complex. Well, I went behind that person. Yes, I followed him. The guard was there, tell I'm going to this person because they make an illegal turn. Yes,
Wow.
when I see these things, I pull them up.
Yeah, nip them in the bud right away.
Most definitely.
Yeah, persons do not care, and we are having a lawless country right now, especially with the drivers, the taxi drivers, the omnibuses drivers, and also the private drivers. So it's everybody. We are having problem with these driving. And as I tell people, if you see a road having no entry sign on your left-hand side, we drive on our left. That means you cannot go through because something is obstructing you. You're going to come over on your right, and you're going to say you didn't see that. Why did you come over on your right? Because something obstructed you on your left. So if a pedestrian was there standing, the pedestrian will get knocked down because first thing you'll say you didn't see the pedestrian either. So when person driving and persons are out there doing these work, adhere to the signs, because they're not just going to go out there and work without signs. They have on their colored vest, they have on the colored shirt, they have on the protective hat, so you know something is going on. And when these works are going on, they usually send out a message. A message usually come out. So when you're driving and you see anything like this, just adhere to it. Let us respect the garbage collectors also, because that's a job they take up. Some person won't take it up, but at least we have somebody who's doing this kind of job to keep the country clean.
And if they don't take up the garbage, we know the stench that we will have. There was a time somewhere in the U.S. when the garbage collectors had a strike, and the government moved quickly
to get persons
to make sure that strike came to an end, because the place was stink in no time. So we need to appreciate that the garbage collectors do a vital job in our society.
And again, when you know it's your day of the week for the garbage to be collected, make sure you park your vehicle in such a way that the truck can get through. Because if they cannot get through, they're going to turn back. They're not going to collect the garbage. So your garbage is going to stay there for another week. Yes, because once they cannot get through, they're not going to, and sometimes they blow their horn, and it's in the folder they come in.
Yeah, nobody coming out.
No.
No. Bed too warm. But the garbage you can leave right there.
Yes. How can drivers help protect work zone safety? The responsibility for safety doesn't solely rest on construction workers, but also include drivers passing through these zones. Here are some tips. You slow down. As you enter a work zone, reduce your speed. Many states have specific speed limits. Yes, we have speed limits here. And if you're having a work zone, It's not going to stay at 20. Because you don't expect to drive at 20 miles and something is going on, especially if there's a hole or a trench in the road. So let us adhere to these. Pay attention. Keep your focus on the road and your surrounding. And you must start slowing down early. Do not wait till you reach up on the site to slow down. Start slowing down early. Sometimes they have flag personnel there, flagging you from miles away. So when you see the flag personnel, you just start to slow down. Do not disrespect these persons.
You want to take a bit of a break?
Sure.
Okay, we'll take a bit of a break and we'll be right back.
Found the sound 98.9 WINN FM.
Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you. Join me, Percival Hanley, this coming Friday and every other Friday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon for Heritage Matters on WINN Media SKN 98.9. Heritage matters to me. Heritage matters to you.
Hear earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee. Yes, it's me, earthquake. I coming Tuesday around 10." No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of way. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door. We are in the exit. Stairs might broke up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, don't want to run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with WINN FM.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
And we are back on Traffic Talk. And during the break, myself and Sergeant Henry, we were talking, and oh my gosh, I got goosebumps when I heard something. Just imagine, as she said, you're driving, somebody's down in a hole, you drive over that person, and that person, you end that person's life. How can you sleep at night? I do not know how much more we need to admonish people to be careful. If you see someone, stop, make sure it's clear before you can continue. I know we had the fatal accident last week, and then in the wee hours of this morning, we had another accident in Sandy Point. That person is not, it doesn't look like they're critically injured, and thank God they're not deceased, but we have to be mindful and we have to be careful on the road, especially when there's roadworks, there's sign, and we have to obey the laws of the road or else we will be in problems. We up the fines and we still are going to disobey. So Sergeant, tell me, what else can we do? How much more can we educate? How much more can we speak? How much more can we make these fines bigger? What else can we do?
I really don't know. We just still have to talk. Yes.
Troy Biff Mills, normally at the end of all of his sportscasts, he admonishes us to be careful. And still, we're doing nonsense.
Oh. We don't know when, but...
And with the weeders on the road... Sorry to cut you off. That's something I said I needed to address. In Trinidad and some bigger countries, when they're doing that, they have the tarp.
Yes.
Sometimes you can't even get them to stop weeding. A lot of things in the sideways, grass, stones, etc., etc. Who knows what can come out and hit the pedestrian or hit them themselves. So I would like to just send this message to the powers that be that when these folks out there weeding, just let them Just let somebody be holding up the tarp and let they themselves be protecting their faces, be it with a shield, be it with their eyeglasses, because you never know what's in there. And they don't stop. Sometimes you blow and they still not stop.
Yeah, because they say if they have to stop for every vehicle, they will never get their work done.
I know. So
I know they used to have the same thing to
the tarp.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I spoke to persons in charge of them already, so I don't know. Because sometimes persons pass with their vehicle, a stone pitch,
break.
Smash
That's a
the
cost for
person
them.
glass.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they have to take preventative measures. Okay, Sergeant, you can continue.
It is important to note that work zone crashes do not only endanger the lives of construction workers, but also pose significant risk to other road users. Yes, because as I said, some pedestrian might be passing the same time, and you try to avoid something, and you collide with that pedestrian. God forbid that person lost their life. So when you're driving and you see something, always when you're driving, look way ahead of you. Don't just look, as I said, over your dashboard. Look way ahead, that you can see what is happening down the road. And always merge safely when lanes are due to road work. As I said, they're going to have one side cordon off, so you know you cannot drive on your left. You're going to have to come over on your right. Make sure you merge safely. Take your time when you're going through these areas. Avoid distraction and keep your focus on the road. Refrain from using your mobile phone. Yes.
How much?
Refrain from using your mobile phone. Don't wait until you see a police officer to take your phone down.
Chuck it away.
You know it is wrong. Remember, the phone is a distraction to you. You cannot be driving and still using your phone, because your distraction is taken away from the road.
Yep.
Maintain a safe following distance also. Do not tailgate. As I always say, if that person had to stop for some specific reason, you have enough time to stop also.
As well.
Not to collide to that person. And be vigilant of road crew workers. Yes. I think some time ago, Skellig was doing some work, and a driver ran over the person's foot. Yes. If you're vigilant, this wouldn't have happened. You'll have enough time to stop and to pull off. So I'm admonishing the drivers. Be careful, be vigilant, and take your time when you're going through these zones.
I swear, we're not listening, we're not taking heed, we're not understanding the severity of what can happen to us, even if we're the driver, like running over somebody's foot. That's a claim you have to pay for yourself. Insurance might say you weren't paying attention. And in this case, I give the insurance, right? You deal with that, because you can't see cones. You can't see road work ahead. You can't see a big scale like vehicle or any other, the garbage truck, etc., doing their jobs and think it is right for you to just proceed anyhow. Like, we have to be cautious. Come on, people. How much more education? How much more pleading? What else can we do to get you to adhere to the rules of the road? You are expected home as well. That person is expected home. Running over that person's foot. Who knew the severity of that? Now that person's out of work. Then, depending on the broken bones or whatever, it takes a while to heal. Come on. You're inconveniencing someone whilst inconveniencing yourself at the same time, because you have to take care of them. I don't know what else I can do.
Just
what else
let
I
us
can
be
say.
patient and calm.
No, that's something that we don't have right now.
Yes, let us be patient.
Patience.
Yes. And stay calm. Driving through work zone can be challenging, So be patient and stay calm to ensure a safe passage.
I'm just thinking here, every time we have some form of road works, would it be wise to like just shut down the whole area and create a diversion?
But some you can close down because sometimes you don't have nowhere for them to divert.
See? Oh boy, I'm trying
So
to think
sometimes you
help.
just have to lay
Mm-hmm.
one side pass and then you let the other side pass.
Yeah, that's why there's a flagman there.
Yes.
But if in the absence of a flagman, the cones don't seem to be making, or doesn't seem to be having much of an impact. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. I understand because we're not behaving. We're not adhering. You swear we're 3-4-year-olds.
Yes.
That need to be spoken to 1,000,000 times.
And yesterday had diversion because it was on the main road just from by after pass 24 hours gas station, down to the bridge.
Yeah.
So person had to divert up to the dirt road.
At the back?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And persons are having problem, but when the police out there doing the checks, persons take that same road to evade the police.
The police, yeah. So it works in their favor when
Yes.
it's beneficial. Mm.
They use that same road, yes. Because when you're down on the same going up.
Yeah.
And now for you to take that road because work is going on there.
It's a problem.
You're making noise. Yes.
Boy. Human beings. I'm sure even Jesus shaking his head thinking, what have I done? Oh boy. So anything else we have to add, Sergeant?
I'm just admonishing the drivers. Let us just drive with caution. Be cautious when you're driving. Adhere to the signs. Adhere to the signs.
Boy.
Especially, I'm speaking to the taxi men them right now, the drivers.
They too? Them
Let
too?
let us be careful, yes. Respect the signs. And if you're going to stop to show a tourist attraction, pull over and make sure you direct the traffic.
Yeah.
Make sure you direct that traffic, that person won't have to overtake around the corner.
Okay. Caller, good morning. You're live on Traffic Talk.
Hey, good morning. I want to ask Sarge a question. Sarge, which side of the road do we drive on?
We drive on our left.
Drive on the left.
Yes, sir.
And you see, that's the problem why we have the confusion inside the roundabout. To avoid those situations, we just need to switch and drive on the right. So everything will be going right. It's confusing when you have to turn left. I mean, look at our cars. The steering wheel is on the right. But we drive left, which doesn't make any sense. Well, most of our cars anyway.
Yeah, because I have a lefty.
You know, I mean, where I live here, I have about 3 roundabouts I have to make before I get to my house. And everything goes right. If you turn left, you probably will be shish kebab. You know, but, you know, we
So
just
where you
need to
live, everybody
change-
drives on the right. That's what you're...
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay.
So when you get into a roundabout, there's no confusion. God, the only way you could go is right. So whichever direction the traffic comes from, you go right.
Are the roundabouts where you live, where you reside, are they clearly marked as well?
Oh, yes.
And you see, but do you think though, and I'm going to be the devil's advocate, since everything goes right, do you think they still needed to be marked right? Because as you said, if you go left, you're done with.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even there's markings and.
But even though we have markings,
You know,
sometimes I don't think folks, no matter how much the officers preach, I don't think folks still understand how to use it. We do it correctly when we are in the learner's car, but once we get our license, we do whatever we want on the road, which is not good.
But I'm saying if we drive right, there will be no confusion.
Okay. So
If we drive right here, you're speaking about?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But if you drive right, that means you're going to cut across someone.
No, you're not cutting across anyone. Everything goes right. Whichever turn off you got to make, it's a right. Whoever come in could only go right.
So, I mean, you'll only have
If
one lane in the roundabout then?
No, you have 2 lanes.
Everything going right.
Because one will be there to take you right, and the middle lane is if you want to just drive around in a circle until you're ready to get out, you know.
That's a
and
lot
make
of
a
driving
right.
around you have to take.
Yeah, because those roundabouts in those
Yes.
big countries are huge. Yeah. I just...
But
Go ahead.
I
Go ahead,
think
caller.
I think we should adapt driving on the right. Most of our cars are programmed that way, but we drive on the left. When I'm there, it's confusing to me, you know.
Oh boy.
Very confusing. I try to stay away from the roundabouts.
But most of our
Because
roundabouts
I
are
can't
marked.
understand it.
Because you're
I mean,
accustomed to
okay,
your right.
let me show you an example. The first roundabout in Frigate Bay. If we were driving on the right, we will keep right and go down. When we get there, we got to go left and come around, which doesn't make any sense. If you come up and on your right hand side, you just turn right and go down into Frigate Bay. But when you get to the first roundabout, you got to go left and then come around and go down. I mean, we need to change that thing. We've been doing it for donkey years. I guarantee you, if we were to make that switch, you will see the difference in those roundabouts. I have a diagram of the roundabout, you know. You could, on it, you see where you could make the right, but then on the other side, you see you could make a left. And that's the confusing part. So as you go around in that circle, everything will take you to your right.
Okay.
You know, I think the powers to be should just give it a try and see what happens. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you for your contribution, caller. I'm visualizing it in my head and I'm thinking.
Right.
I don't feel confident driving in countries that are on the right, to be honest. That's just me, right? Because to each his own. Because some people are brave drivers, but I don't drive in
But
St.
if you're going to be on
Martin,
your right,
I
you
don't
have to
drive
go
in the
around.
US.
So you have to go around until you'll be able to.
That's what he's saying. The one lane to get you out. And if you just want to...
But remember, you say you're going to have a next lane.
Yeah, but that one is to go around and round till you can join back. Maybe the other lane to get out.
That's going to be confusing for us.
At first, yeah, we're going to got a lot of boot ups. No, boy. Let me not think about the negative, but yeah, we're going to need an office on the road. We're going to need direction on the road until we get accustomed to that, if that's the case. Because just thinking of being on the other side of the road when you're accustomed to being on this side.
And then for you to change from left to right, then we will have to be driving on our right instead of our left.
Yeah, and that's what he's saying.
Yes.
So everything on the right, so we could easily avoid.
He's speaking about something that he is accustomed to.
Right,
it
and it'll be difficult for us.
It doesn't mean that it will be applicable into our situation, because
Yeah, but
a whole lot of changes will happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna have to have the police on the road. We're gonna have directions, because we're gonna bounce up on each other more than we're bouncing up now. In the first instances,
It comes down to if people do what they're supposed to do,
we won't
wouldn't
have a
any
bounce up. Yeah,
problems.
that is correct.
The time is 12 minutes after 9.
Okay, officer, can we have any closing remarks?
Let us remember that decision made behind the wheel can have lifelong consequences, and it is our responsibility to prioritize safety and mindful when navigating through these temporary environments. So remember, when you're behind the wheel, remember what you should do and should not do.
Yeah. And if the police put down a detour, don't use the detour when you see the police in the road. Use the detour
Even if the police
is not there. Because the same way you could use it to evade them is the same way you can use to protect your life and the life of others that are doing road works. Come on, folks. We're not kids. We're adults. We're all expected home safely without injuries when we leave. Let's treat each other fairly. And with that said, that ends our Traffic Talk episode for today. Until next Monday, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Thank you, Sergeant.
You're welcome.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
It's the start of the week. It's time for a new perspective. It's time for Unfiltered. Join Azar Gums, lawyer and deputy leader of the People's Action Movement, for raw and unfiltered political analysis of the current events in St. Kitts and Nevis. Tune in every Sunday evening from 7:30 p.m. on WINN FM. Join Azar Gums as he breaks the mantle and cuts through the unfiltered political noise to bring you the facts. Unfiltered every Sunday evening on WINN FM 98.9.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 WINN FM.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune into On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Biff Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Biff Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
If you live in low-lying areas, be aware of the possibility of tsunamis immediately after an earthquake. A strong earthquake lasting 20 seconds or more is a natural tsunami warning. Do not wait for an official warning. Gather your family members and evacuate immediately after the shaking stops. Don't delay. A tsunami could occur within minutes.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with WINN FM.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
Good morning, and welcome back to Island Tea. In studio with us, his name just slipped me, but we have the good pastor, our singing pastor, and I'm sure most of you would have gathered who he is by now. Pastor, can you introduce yourself again? The name is slipping me so bad right now. It must be the other side that doesn't want me to remember.
Yes, that's understandable. Pleasant morning to one and all. Yes, my name is Philip Webb, and I pastor the Church of God of Prophecy in the Buckleys and Newton Ground, also the supervisor for the 5 churches on the island. So I'm the bishop for the churches on the island.
Okay, so you were just enlightening me during the break about some songs that you have since penned. So let's talk about those songs. Why and why did you pen them?
Yes, it's like the cutting edge of time. 2 songs that I think is relevant and it's appropriate and it's right now, based on what is happening, in our world today, specifically, in St. Kitts, because here's where, we are right now. And there are 2 songs, one entitled Why Die Before Your Time, and that is in relation to the various accidents and the fatalities that is on our road, especially around this time. And also the next one is the pen is mightier than the sword. It's like I went to a PTA meeting, at one of the high schools, and a teacher talked to me aside and he told me the young people don't want to learn, some of them. And so I went home and I put the words, and, in terms of the pen is mightier than the sword. So young people could take the education seriously, and be a part of the solution rather than a part of the spoil. Rather than getting in gangs and violence and stuff like that, they can, take the education seriously. Because with the increase of technology and modernization in most of our world countries, it is essential to have an education. And so I dramatized, this song. I released it and Thursday night on the 10th, lots of people, etc. I had the principal for the Washington Archibald High School that deal with over 800 people in that school. So it wasn't that easy, and I had some folks dressed in the school uniforms and so on, talking to them while I released the song. A powerful song, both of them.
Alrighty. So you mentioned the students of the Washington Archibald. We're not going to just use those students alone. But why do you think the students are not gravitating to education like you would and like I would? What do you think is happening? What is missing? I'm sure you counsel some young people.
Yes. What is missing, not trying to blame, anyone, because some folks will say, the parent, don't take no quality time to invest in their children and to ensure that they take their education seriously. Some might blame the school, that the teachers and etc. But I think that, it starts in the home, whereby if, we as parents will teach our children, the right way in life. I know that when they get to the school, maybe some parents try their best, and then they mix up with some others that, didn't get much training, and then they stray away, they allow bad company, to lead them astray. So one of the thing is bad company. They get involved in bad company, and they don't know, well, bad company lead you in one of these 3 places: in the cemetery, in the hospital, or in prison. And so, it is imperative, for our young people not to allow, bad company lead them astray. I even wrote a song of that, keep out of bad company.
Yeah, because we knew we know the phrase, show me your company and I'll tell you who you are.
And I'll tell you, who you are.
Yeah, we came up on that phrase.
That's right. Oh, sorry.
So, Quinn, are you ready with the first song? Which one is this one?
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 17. Why die before your time? Why die before your time? I am warning all the bus drivers on the road. Drive carefully, God has a plan for you and me. Every minute has eternity in it, so we must take heed and watch the speed limits. Prevention is better than cure. The nation is falling, Lord, I can't take no more.
And sometimes drivers drive so recklessly. 45 miles per hour, you start to sing. It will be worth it all when we see Jesus. 55 miles per hour, you start to sing. God will take care of you through every day, all the way. 65 miles per hour, you start to sing. We'll soon be done with trouble and trials when we get home on the other side. But tell me why die before your time and leave your loved ones crying behind? Please tell me why die before your time? Tell me why die before your time? Listen, driving slow is not a crime, so please be wise and live on time. The life you save could be your own, your very own. Why die before your time? I am warning all the drivers them on the road. Drive so that your driver's license expire before you. Talk about accident, so much accident on the road. Another fatal accident, Lord, we can't afford. Some undertakers love careless overtakers. Watch the road ahead.
That is why die before your time. And I was just telling Pastor Webb, it's so befitting that right after Traffic Talk, he comes again to admonish us concerning behaving properly on the road. As Sergeant Henry would have said, we are somehow becoming a lawless nation when it comes to road safety. How many more people, that young man, he just came home. He's not going to make it back to where he needs to go. Empathy to his family, they're reeling. His friends out there, his co-workers, they're going to be reeling from his loss. And now we had the accident in the last night in Sandy Point again. Like, we're not listening here. We had that person seems fine. I see they have a neck brace and whatever from the pictures that were published, but they're not in critical condition. But still, we are not adhering to the road safety. A caller called and said maybe we should drive on the right. But I'm here calculating being on the right, boy. That sounds like a lot of things.
Yes. It's just for them to follow the instructions that is on the road, the speed limits, etc. is very important. And
all right.
Yes,
so right after this.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and if we take, you know, the signs and we drive, you know, carefully, we will be, you know, more safer. So to say, because we should drive so that our driver's license expire before us. Yeah, a lot of folks, you know, not taking, you know, drive so that your driver's license expire before you. Meaning that, you know, if there is a slow zone, you know, area, you just drive according to the speed limits, because driving slow is not a crime.
Not a crime at all.
It's not a crime, you know. So why, you know, die before your time? I wrote that because Proverbs, you know, the wise man Solomon, you know, made mention in Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and 17, and he said that don't be over wicked. And don't be a fool. Why die, you know, before your time? And so if they don't follow the traffic signs, you know, on the road, and they divert away from, you know, what is there, they could get an early death. You know, and so watch the road ahead before you end up dead.
Oh boy! See, listen, you have a lot of lyrics. I now see why you're the singing pastor. So we move on to the next song that admonishes the young ones to take their education seriously.
With the increase of technology and modernization in most of our world country, it is essential to have an education. Young people, learn your lesson. But I said a pen, Lord, is mightier, mightier than the sword. Stop say education good. Learn your lesson in school. Don't you be a fool. You could be the next principal of the school. Learn your lesson, young people. The pen is mightier than the sword. If you live by the sword, you will die by the sword, or end up in jail without a bail. So pay some attention to your education and be a part of the solution. Please listen to me. Don't be too blind to see no opportunity in the cemetery. Oh Lord, I said a pen is mightier, mightier than the sword. I beg you don't go down the wrong road. Give your heart to Jesus, repent and be saved before you end up in an early grave. I said a pen is mightier, mightier than the sword. Stop say education good. Learn your lesson in school. Don't you be a fool. You could be the next principal of the school. Oh, yeah, yeah. Young people, take education seriously. Learn your lesson in school. Boys and girls smoking in school, they breaking all the rules. No respect at all for their uniform. We really need a breakthrough for parents and teachers too. Only God knows what to do. Make up your mind today. Don't you walk away. Don't let bad influences lead you astray. Oh Lord, I said a pen is mightier, mightier than the sword. I beg you don't go down the wrong road. Give your heart to Jesus, repent and be saved before you end up in an early grave. I said a pen, the pen is mightier, mightier than the sword. Stop say education good. Learn your lesson in school. Don't you be a fool. You could be the next principal of the school.
Alrighty, I like that. And I like the fact that you let them know that they can definitely be the next principal of the school. How many schools have you visited since your song, and what has the reception of the young people in the schools been like?
Well, I have not yet since visit any school as yet, because it just launched just last week, just Thursday.
Okay.
So it's a few
Fresh.
days ago.
Okay.
Yes, I have not really gone to the school, but I've been through, I've been to various, schools, almost all the schools in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, do devotion, etc., songs that were written before, and I've been to even when they had the June, they had Child Month at one time. I wrote a song for Child Month, for that they played on the road, and so children happy, etc. So, and I went to the various schools and teach them the dance, and so and the song, etc. So, no stranger to the high schools, and so been to Kean High, Bastia High, Washington High, over in Sadler's High, Sandy Point High, and most, and some of the primary schools, and so they called me at times, to share something positive that will, help the young people to be a part of the solution.
Okay. So what are your hopes for these two songs that are fresh, just launched last Thursday? What are your hopes? And how do you think it will benefit our federation and for the nations abroad as well? Because, excuse me, it's one Well, two clear messages. We have to be careful on the road, and we have to learn. We have to take education seriously.
I see them as relevant messages that is right now. And if our people heed, if you heed, you won't bleed, And so I think that they should take heed with the so much road traffic, accidents on the road. If we listen to the songs and the lyrics in the song, and the heed to the lyrics, we will have, I wouldn't say a road-free accident, but it will eliminate, the accidents and the road and the fatal accident in particular, I put a little humor, inside of it.
Yeah, because I realized you were talking. Oh gosh, my voice is getting messed up now. As the speed increases, you're singing like going home songs, and I'm wondering why am I singing like these going home songs?
Yes, so and it's just to bring some attention to that the folks will listen.
Yeah,
and in the end, it will be worth it all. So I think that it will be of some help to the people in the Federation. It will benefit us, if we follow the lyrics, the advice, to why die before your time, and the education song, to educate our young people to take their lesson, very serious, and in the end they will make themselves proud, they will make their parents proud, and they will make the country proud.
Yes, exactly.
And so it is my prayer that our young people take heed. Yeah,
indeed. And I know some of us don't take ourselves to work because some of us don't have vehicles, so I really hope the bus drivers really take heed to your song and drive the passengers carefully, because I know when you're on the buses you're praying because your life is in somebody else's hands. So I really hope that they play this song in their buses and they listen to what Pastor Webb is saying, because he's making a lot of sense. Because we beg them I beg them every Monday. Troy Biv Mills beg them after every sports cast. The sergeant goes on other radio stations. I don't know what more we can do to ask adults to, because it's not kids that are getting licensed. You can't get a license until you're a certain age. You can't get a permit until you're a certain age. So we have to be mindful how we're using the roads.
Yes. The driver is safest when the road is dry, and the road is safest when the driver is dry.
Yeah.
So also there are some areas where some people on their cell phone, and they're driving, and this is very dangerous. All of that could lead into accidents, and so. But it's not just the bus driver. The first, line speaks of the bus driver, but the second line speaks to everyone in general.
That's driving. Yeah, that's why I mentioned some of us don't have vehicles, so our lives are in the hands of the drivers.
Yes, because I said some undertakers love careless overtakers. So if you're gonna
you got lyrics in that song that makes plenty sense. That's true.
Yeah, if you're gonna overtake someone, make sure the road ahead of you is clear of you. And it's clear to do so, because the life that you save could be your very own. Yeah, so one has to be very careful, and pay attention on the road, because there's more and more vehicles coming on the road. And even coming to WINN FM here, someone just turn in front without any, and some of them don't even know how to drive around the roundabout, properly. They don't give traffic from, you give traffic from your right,
the way, understand? Yes.
But they just, so some people still who have their license, but they still don't know how to properly
navigate the road.
Yes. So we have to really take heed.
Sure do. Well, Pastor Webb, it was indeed a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for considering us in the continued launch of your two songs. I hope that people listen to them and they take heed, including the young students that are in school. Listen to the pastor. He means well. My favorite song from you is Giving Satan Problems. So let's give Satan problems and not the officers or your school teachers problems, okay?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And the brother there, I think he had told me I did one, for the young people, no wait, for the hearse to take it to church. So I
I know that one
to some of that area. So trying to encourage them, you know what I mean, to be a part of the solution.
All righty. Thank you so much, Pastor Webb. You have a great day, listeners. Please take heed.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Begin natural you with Fruta. Fresh. The juice with the great flavor. What? Nothing nice like Fruta. The best juice come from the nature. Where fun and flavor collide. Perfect thing for nice up the vibe. Live Fruta for you, that's my style. With Fruta every sip leave a smile.
Live fruitful. Look for us on the shelf with our new packaging. Enjoy 100% natural juice flavor. It's so fresh.
Live fruitful with Fruta.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9. Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
And we're back on Island Tea. And to the folks across there in Montserrat, happy St. Patrick's Day. And for those of you celebrating around the world, happy St. Patrick's. Caller, good morning. You're live on Island Tea.
Good morning, Curtis here.
How are you, Mr. Macron?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All righty.
Morning. And to your listeners as well.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, the Prime Minister's statement on the Cuban medical assistance issue finally came. And you notice how quick he was to respond to the New York Times article, on that list.
I guess he didn't want to be caught up.
Yeah, well, it's almost like he was saying, I had better get out on top of this one quickly this time, rather than give the impression that I was waiting to hear from my other colleagues. I noticed too that we haven't heard from Holness, so he wasn't last. Holness seemed to have climbed up on the issue like it's too much of a hot potato for him.
Which one, the Cuban issue?
The Cuban issue.
Okay.
Issue. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, that one. Because I don't think Jamaica is on the list for the other one anyway.
No, they're not.
Right. But you might have been right in that he was taking his time to craft a balanced response. My only problem with that is that it ended up, as Greg was saying, not dealing with the issue frontally. Okay, the U.S. issued a direct threat, essentially, with specific consequences, and these were essentially sidestepped in the Prime Minister's statement. In my opinion, he should have been more emphatic, not belligerent or aggressive, but firm in making our position clear. Right? This playing both sides and buttering up the U.S. just won't work with, I think, this Trump administration.
But you don't call that diplomacy?
Huh?
Sometimes you can't fight fire with fire.
No. Well, Macron and Starmer, the British Prime Minister, the French and British Prime Ministers, found out the hard way that kind of buttering up and so on don't work.
Oh.
Okay? They're going to go and do what they want to do anyway. All right? So it ain't all the time you can just cater to somebody's ego and they come around to your way of thinking.
Okay.
All right? Plus, I think the address should have been, well, it sounded like he was talking to the citizens, us, as well as the United States at the same time. Okay. To me, it should have been one or the other. Address us and deal with the U.S. through diplomatic circles, okay? Separate the two, right? If, in fact, for instance, the Cuban assistance is indispensable, we should have been told that, okay, and make it and it should have been made clear that if we abandon that assistance at this time, it would be harmful, okay? And also to say that any request by anybody, U.S. included, to do that would be unjustifiable. For us, it's a matter of life and death, okay? I think that should have been made clear to us, to buy in on public support for any action or reaction that will be taken to deal with this issue, okay? That should have been made clear. And it should be made clear, the same sort of arguments should be made clear to the U.S. in diplomacy, which I'm sure will follow as a result of that. As Mayor said, no shouting, just resolute. Simply because we're small, we should not just roll over and take whatever the bigger countries dish out, okay? I mean, I understand that someone said over the weekend, principle and pride don't pay the bills. But we have to have some kind of spine, all right? The U.S. said who and how they would be targeting their pressure in this particular instance, that is the Cuban issue. And the Prime Minister, I think, should have said, made it, well, categorically clear, like some of the other leaders that did. We value that assistance. We can't do without it at this time, and we're prepared to face the consequences. So we're keeping the program clear, unambiguous, right? It's just a few officials, I think, would have been affected anyway, not the general populace, and they should be prepared to pay the price. I mean, it's what they signed up for, right? The U.S., I think, if the U.S. ramps up the pressure, that is, carry it to another level, well, that would require a different response, okay? Because they're big and they could really hurt us. We're not going to die on no hill for the Cuban presence here, okay? If the U.S. decide to kill our economy, for instance, I doubt they'd do that, but they can do it. And if they do it, we have to be prepared for a different response. But right now, we should stand firm on that we're keeping the Cuban presence, all right? Another thing, this friends of all and enemies of none cliche, I think is overworked and outdated, and to me it's meaningless in today's geopolitics, okay? There's no non-aligned movement around now to back up that kind of chat, okay? And you're likely to be dismissed if you go to the U.S. or any other big country with that kind of approach. We have to be much more nuanced and innovative in our diplomacy to protect our interests, okay? It's not like once ago. That used to sound good and so on, but it's not practical nowadays, right? We have to come with something different.
So Mac Mahan, so you don't feel that one can be friends with all and enemies to none?
Not in today's environment, when so many people, the bigger countries, saying my way or the highway.
Bullies.
Yeah, well,
that's unfortunately how it is.
Well,
it's more a case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. There are those nuances which we have to deal with.
But what about fighting fire? The world is not as simple
as it was years ago.
But we were taught...
You had West competing, and you had the non-aligned movement, and you kind of select a block. Now it's a lot of different permutations and combinations that you have to deal with, right? You can't use the old methods anymore, I don't think.
But fighting fire with fire, I don't think it will bring the best outcome that we could hope for. So
it depends on the circumstance. Not with the U.S. It can't. You can't fight fire if you don't have fire to fight it with. Okay? We don't. So that makes no sense in the case of the U.S. It may make sense in the case of somebody else who's your equal, but definitely not in the case where everything is asymmetric in terms of the power dynamic. Okay? So you cannot use that.
My thing is this. I concur with what you say, but I still feel that even in today's political climate, that rather than me going the way that you want me to go when you're trying to beat me with a big stick, me saying, look, I am not your friend. I mean, I'm not your enemy. I'm your friend. But I'm also the friend of Cuba. I'm not their enemy. I don't see something wrong with that.
Nothing is wrong with saying it. I'm saying the outcome of that is not going to be to your liking.
But the outcome...
You approach the U.S. with that. First of all, you don't think the U.S. knows that? Doesn't know that we value our relationship with Cuba, and we also value the relationship with the U.S., as the Prime Minister said. Both.
Yes, they do.
Right? You think they don't know that?
They do.
But they want a particular outcome. They want us to do as they say in what they regard as their hemisphere. Okay? And so we have to deal with them differently.
So how do we deal with them? Because I'm trying to be clear. How do we deal with them differently than me saying, if I say, I'm not a friend, I'm not an enemy of Cuba, I'm going to continue relations with Cuba, I'm not your enemy, I'm going to... I'm saying clearly that I will not finish with dealing with Cuba. I'm saying that to you.
And then the U.S. will say, okay, that's fine, right? But, because I remember it's Cuba they're really after, but we want you to terminate your relationship with Cuba. Mm-hmm. What you do in a case like that?
Well, so
that's
what
I said.
So what
right
you're,
now,
so what you're,
the pressure is just mild in the sense that it's only a few officials will be affected, their visa thing will be affected.
So Mac
but
Mohan,
if you ramp up things like want to kill our tourism industry or something like that, what do you do?
So Mac Mohan,
you can't respond the same way.
Mac Mohan, I want you to be clear. You know, you're saying that we should acquiesce to the United States of America?
No, I'm saying at this point we should let it be known that we're not abandoning the Cuban assistance, right? Let them take away the visas of a couple of officials, right?
But what if it trickles down to the entire population?
In other words, we're supposed to take those consequences, right? Because remember, I started out by saying, if you value the Cuban assistance to the point where we know that we really feel that it's indispensable, then in our case, we don't have a choice, huh? And similarly, if we do that and we face that consequence, but then the U.S. is insistent and ramps up the pressure on us, right? By saying, well, let's say extend the visa restrictions to the general populace, for instance, we would have to make a decision as to, is that a hill we want to die on, really? Do we really want this? We have a choice to make. It will be a different choice.
But Mac Mohan, you're puzzling me. You're puzzling me. I'm trying to work with you. What are you really saying? I am saying
saying that at this particular juncture, where the U.S. has made specific threat,
yes,
with a particular consequence, that is visa restrictions on officials,
yes,
right? We can say no. We keeping our Cuban assistance because it's invaluable to us. All right? You understand that part?
Yes.
In other words, come clear out and say no.
Yes,
sorry.
I understand and I agree with you.
Good. Now, if after a couple of months the U.S. decides to insist, especially if other countries don't take that line, right? If they decide to insist that, look, ramping up the pressure, we're going to extend those visa restrictions to the whole population. Okay, it's not just a few officials anymore.
Yes.
Okay, or we are going to impact your tourism industry, right? Where everybody it's going to be to the detriment of everybody. We cannot then go to the U.S. and say, no. We can't. because they're big and they can hurt us. We know they can hurt us. So if they're prepared to go that far, right, we would have to have a different response. Isn't that, and again, we would not have any other choice either.
But that is
what I'm saying?
But that is where you're puzzling me, because we know, as you're saying, the United States will do what they intend to do anyway. So whether I say no, I'm not going to finish with the Cubans.
At this point,
or whether I say no, I'm not going to finish with the Cubans, or I say, look, indirectly, diplomatically, I say I will continue relations with the Cubans. What is the difference? We are saying the same thing. The United States will do whatever they want to do in any event.
But what I'm saying is.
So we can't say no. We can't say no.
We have a choice right now, because our choice right now, this is specific to the Cuban. This is a Cuban thing. This is not with the CBI.
Yes.
It seems as if all the countries in the diaspora that have Cuban assistance are holding one head with this.
Yes.
They're all going to approach the U.S., negotiate with the U.S., explain to the U.S. how important this is, right, and hope that the U.S. acquiesce in some way, or negotiate more acceptable terms, like I think I might have said before, where don't be so critical of the U.S.-Cuban policy when it comes to the General Assembly or something like that, right? Some a milder sanction or mild negotiation that, we could live with, okay? One that we could live with. Similarly, I'm saying that if some of those officials lose their visa access to the States, I think that's something that the country could live with. Like I said, they sign up for that.
Yeah.
Right? But if we are divided, if it looks as if, some going one way and some going the other way.
That is where I agree with you. And this is why I feel that this is where I agree with you 100%. I feel rather than waiting so long, I think that they should have already united and as you said,
as Premier Brantley said,
sent their individual correspondence worded similarly, so that all of them were saying the same thing rather than this, because the way it's moving, it's like we're not sure who is on board and who is off board.
And they're gonna try to.
So
pit
I
us
agree
against
with you
each
from
other.
that perspective.
Yeah.
Well, although, but like I said, I think all of the countries kind of want to stick with Cuba. It's just that they may start to then try to pick us off one by one in a bilateral way and say, look, St. Kitts, we are going to extend this to a bit further, not just officials, but they can select anybody, target anybody who they wish, okay? And then go to Antigua or Dominica and do the same thing. So try to pick us off one by one, okay? Because first, we have to get the U.S. to accept that we are approaching this collectively. That isn't clear right now. The right, seen as if the right to each individual country, not to the OECS countries, okay? And so it got to be made clear to the U.S. that all of us hold in one head on this matter.
But Mr. McMahon,
when we stop holding one head,
Mr.
then is when we become vulnerable.
Mr. McMahon,
that is true.
Are you aware that while the U.S. is using this approach with us, that the U.S. has been for years, from way back in the Bush era, right to have been trying to get the Cubans for themselves?
When you say get the Cubans for themselves, what do you mean?
Trying to get the Cuban doctors to work in the U.S.
But I have to research it.
Really?
Yes.
You really think so?
You see, you all don't know your history.
No. I think
even back
one instance or one period when I remember something like that happening. They were going to the poor neighborhoods or something like that.
Yes, but not only that. The Cuba is ranked highly among the number one when it comes to medical capabilities, and they extend this to Europe, to the US, all over to Africa, and so on and so forth.
But Quinn, there is nothing consistent about U.S. foreign policy.
That's the point.
Double standards.
That's the point.
Yeah. So that is nothing new, and we should be prepared to deal with that even today. Don't expect logic or reason to work with them. You have to come with something else. You got to make a deal, as Trump would say, right? Because it's not going to be about principle for them.
No.
Look how long they've had that Cuban embargo and so on in place. All these years. And they know that it's hurting the Cuban people. They know it.
They know.
But they still keep it.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't appeal to logic. You can't appeal to sensibilities, to the sense of humanity or anything like that, the caring or anything like that. They have a policy where they're going to squeeze Cuba to death. By the way, do you know the name of the Cuban leader right now?
No.
I had the name earlier.
Well, I would confess right now that the name slips me right now.
I don't know that. I don't know.
And there's a reason for that. Okay? Because Cuba has been associated so long with Castro.
Yes.
And the Castro brothers.
Yeah.
That they cannot see beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Miguel Diaz-Canel.
I can bet you most people down here don't know that.
Yeah, because I came across it yesterday. That's why I said cartel, but it's Canel. Sorry.
To the government of Cuba, they're going to say Castro's Cuba, even today, even though the man there.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though Raul stepped down, that's just a fact of life, but not the U.S. The U.S. remembers being rebuffed by Castro and there.
Yep, and feeling the type of way.
They will never forget it until that regime falls.
Look,
okay, and so that is where we are. And I'm saying that it's not so much that they want to go after us; it's Cuba. And so since we know that it ain't really that they don't want to go after us, what the diplomacy should be trying to convince them that, listen, man, this is important to us. Okay? These are how many specialists we have. If you don't have that, our people have them, our people are going to suffer. Okay? And let us hope that they kind of have because we've had good relations with the state before. Okay? Let's just hope that they don't go down that route. Do some other way, find some other way of putting pressure on Cuba, not make us collateral damage in the process.
But Mr. McMahon, the fact that this man too, Mr. Canel, was associated with the Cuban Communist Party, maybe that's why too they're not going to lift it and they're going to keep it on.
Of course.
Yeah.
Maybe the party, I don't just still call themselves communists, but maybe they should call themselves the Democratic something or the other of Cuba, right? It probably wouldn't work, but for it's easy right now to brand them as communists, right? And Cuba, probably the system obviously needs changing. Yes, there's the embargo and so on, but I mean, to stick with that system, which is so outdated. I mean, even China is just communist in name. Name. If they were going to say, well, it's a dictatorship, I could understand, because China is a dictatorship, okay? But if tomorrow Cuba decided to have free elections, where opposition can contest and so on.
Mr. McMahon, you may need to wrap up because we're a bit over time.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, this thing would probably be ended overnight, okay? If, of course, they get a regime a government that the U.S. likes, because it still ends up being U.S. wants what it wants in what it calls its hemisphere, and so we somehow have to live with that and navigate our way through that.
I disagree. I don't feel that we should. I don't feel that we should renege on our values in every aspect for the U.S. And
how do you respond to somebody who says pride and principle can't pay the bills?
Well, it's like saying that we should have no principles, right?
I'm asking you, how do you respond to it?
I will have principles and bear the consequences.
So you prefer to starve on with your principles?
I'm not going to starve. Let me tell you, you all are underestimating this younger generation, you know. You all think that this I remember when I was young. I think that is the problem with us when we get older. We forget when we were young. When I was young,
Quint. The U.S. is big and it can destroy us. That's the bottom line.
Let the U.S.
That is just the bottom line. You can't do anything about that. That's the dynamics of what is at play now.
Yeah. So because they come. Let me tell you. You see this Trump administration. The whole world is looking at the United States in a different light. After this Trump administration,
do you think he cares?
Well, he may not care, but don't you watch and see the repercussions that the U.S. is going to get because of Trump. You watch and see.
Because something is desirable doesn't mean that it will happen, okay? And it is clear that Trump is on a path that he's fixated on, and that's a hill he is prepared to die on. But I am going to be proved, he feels I am going to be proven right in all of this at the end of my 4 years. If I'm not, well, I'm still a millionaire, a billionaire. It don't matter.
Okay.
But he is going to pursue his goals, and that is what we have to deal with. Okay?
Yeah.
And poorest countries down here, we're tiny, we're vulnerable. We just have to live with it.
Work together.
I'm saying in this particular case, we have some leeway right now. Use it. If subsequently we're faced with a do-or-die situation, well, I prefer to do rather than die. I don't know about you.
McMahon, what you're saying is when we were enslaved, we should have stayed slaves and don't fight against it. That's what you're saying.
No, absolutely.
Well, that is how I see it.
Bad analogy.
That is how I see it.
No, no.
You're saying because the United States, look, the slave master had the same authority that the U.S. has. He could beat us, he could hang us, he could kill us, and our foreparents.
That's the whole point.
And our foreparents still fought.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course you should resist. I'm not saying that you shouldn't resist.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, in the face of overwhelming force, you may have no choice. I mean, Quint, you can be brave, you know. I mean, when you look at those Palestinians, for instance, some of them, you know, Israel had teenagers and so on inside their jails for just throwing stones at things. Anybody who gonna face machine guns and so on, automatic rifles and so on, tanks with stones, they're either stupid or they're brave. And I don't think they were stupid. I think they were brave. Yep. But look at the result. Still, it ends up with a hell of a lot of suffering. One would have to ask at some point, was it worth it? Was it worth it?
I feel
if it ends with genocide, was it worth it?
What? Well, you see, you're saying that.
I mean, give me liberty or give me death.
You would prefer that.
Liberty sounds better.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know.
Well, that is you.
That, unfortunately, Quinn, I know it's tough.
I've always said if I was alive during the time of slavery, and I'm one of those who would have been hanging on the tree, I would have been dead. I would have been dead.
You would have been fighting first. I would have fought then too.
I would have been dead.
But I understand what you're saying, Mr. McMahon, in terms of now.
He who fights and run away lives to fight another day.
Yes.
Right?
Well, there are different
exactly.
things.
So it ain't that you wouldn't fight. It's how you fight.
Anyway, we've got to go.
We can continue this tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The Sound 98.9.